Today we're going to discuss course combinations and your career with international organizations. We have two resource people who have a wealth of experience, and they'll be here to share their experience with us today. And as per usual, if there are any questions that come up to you while we're having our resource people share their experiences or their background, please just put it in the chat, and then I'll relay those questions back to our resource people. So we'll start off with having Ms. Zayabina, if she wants to just introduce herself quickly and what HEDDA's Beautiful Hands aims to achieve with these sessions.
Okay, welcome everyone. I won't talk too much, just to say welcome again. And my name is Hope Ayabina. I'm the founder of HEDDA's Beautiful Hands Limited. This particular session is just a part of HEDDA's, what we do. We have lots we do. So we can check up on our webpage if you want to know more about us. But this particular career session is to help people want to work with international organizations, diplomatic sectors, basically. And it's to give them people guidance on what to do, what to expect if you're to work with international organizations, because we realized and noticed that people do not seem to have an understanding of the right steps to take. So it's just our way of giving back to the public, or giving back to everyone the knowledge we've acquired. But if you want to have one-on-one sessions with some of our facilitators, that will come with a fee. So if you're interested in that, you can contact us. But for this, these are just basic information we'll share, things that would help you with your career growth. Thank you. Back to you, Toby.
Thank you very much, Hope. So yes, we'll kick off first with our first resource person, Professor Sonaya. I'm sure I have murdered that name again. So thank you for joining us today. If you could just give us a brief introduction, Professor, on your background and your experiences and what has led you up to where you are today. If you could do that within 5 minutes, that would be perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Toby, and thank you, Hope, for inviting me to be a part of today's session. I'm very happy to be here. So, my name is Remy Shonaya. Shonaya. Okay. I was born in I was born in Lagos, but lived in Ibadan during my childhood. I attended primary school in Ibadan. I attended secondary school, St. Anne's School, Ibadan, one of the earliest girls' secondary schools in Nigeria. From then, I went to Obafemi Awolowo University, then University of Ife, and on to Cornell University in the US for my graduate studies, back to Ife for another master's, and back to Cornell. So, between University of Ife and Cornell University, I actually have 2 degrees from each one of them. All right. I'm a retired, in quotes, professor of French language and applied linguistics. I decided, however, to retire voluntarily from the university in 2010 from my position in the university. I was 55 then, all right? And academics retire or at least those that have reached the position of professor, normally they retire at the age of 70, from our universities. So I still had 15 good years to go. However, I retired because, I have always been interested in public affairs, thinking, why are things like this in our country? I've traveled quite a bit, especially since, I'm in foreign languages. So I've traveled to France, to these various places, where the languages I've been studying are spoken. And you then come back home and you see the differences in the society and things like that, and you wonder. So I decided it was time for me to make a switch to politics, because it suddenly dawned on me that it's the politicians who decide the quality of our lives, whether we'll have good schools, whether, there'll be good hospitals, good roads, or whatever. It's all politicians. Or whether you have to be your own personal local government providing, water and electricity, blah, 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 for yourself, security, hiring a guard, and so on. It's all, the politicians that make us take such decisions when the services that we are supposed to be given are not provided for the people. So that's how come I found myself in
Politics.
politics. But you might want to know why I chose French in the first place. Well, my mother wanted me to be a medical doctor. I wasn't doing badly in school. I did well and things like that. But I tell you, I could never have been a doctor. The sight of blood would just make me faint, you know. So, however, when I was in Form 2 in secondary school, a lady, a very young Irish lady, came to my school as a teacher, as a French teacher. And I tell you, within 2 weeks of having her teach me French, I knew that was what I wanted to do. It was just beautiful. She inspired me. She inspired all of us because we just did so well. Everybody first, had A's. There was nobody that had less than an A in school cert. It was between A1 and A3, in our days. All of us who took French. I mean, she taught us with passion and things like that. And I say, hey, this is this is this is it for me. So I went home and negotiated with my mother. So I said, you want me to be a doctor, but I mean, is it just that you want that appellation of doctor such and such? Or are you really insisting on my being a medical doctor? He said, is there any other doctor than a medical doctor? I said, yes, so you can get a doctorate in whatever, you know, you like. He said, as long as you are a doctor now, no problem. So so that was why I said, in that case, no big deal. I promise you, I will get a doctorate in French, in in languages. So that's how come, I went on. I mean, only my mother and I were having this discussion because my father had died much earlier. My father died when I was 10 years old. So, I was left with my mother to negotiate with. All right. So that is my life in a nutshell. You may also want to know that I'm married, happily married for 40, how many years now? Going to 43 years to a man who is a wonderful, wonderful man, who is an unusual Nigerian, an unusual Nigerian man. Um, he just retired from the university. Uh, he reached the retirement age of 70. He is a professor of animal science. And so we moved from the beautiful campus of Ife. We now live in Lagos. People think, how could you leave Ife and come to live in Lagos? But we are enjoying it. We had our time in Lagos. We want a new kind of life, and we're having it now in Lagos. We have two children, two grown children, one man and one woman, and three grandsons. So that's it. I think I've spent about 5 minutes.
Th-
Oh, slightly over. Sorry.
Nah, it's
Okay,
fine. You
thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed your your introduction. I think you've been married for longer than quite a few of us have been alive,
Yes, I know.
which is really good. I think you also mentioned that your French teacher was fantastic. I'll say the
I
reason why I don't know French is my teacher was rubbish.
was not exactly. Or maybe you were one of those who are making fun of the teacher.
I was definitely making fun. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so the next person we have on here is Professor Adekunle. And I'll leave you, Professor Adekunle, to give us a brief introduction as well. Um, Try and make your story as interesting as Professor Shonaya's story as well. Over to you.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Toby and Hope, for inviting me. Yeah, I was born not too many years ago. I was actually born on the 17th of July, 1970. So I'm 50 years old. And then when I started my primary education in Lagos, primary and secondary school, and I went to, we were actually the last set of A-level students, which they call HSC, higher school certificates. So from there, I went to Ife. I did my first degree in Ife, and then in chemical engineering, and second degree in Unilag, chemical engineering too. So I was trying to look for opportunity abroad. Then eventually I got a position. I won't say position. I applied to study masters again. So I have two masters in chemical engineering, and I specialized in biotechnology in my second master's. So I did that at the University of Borås, Sweden. Then my PhD at the prestigious university, Chalmers University of Technology, Gothenburg, Sweden also. I worked for some years after my PhD as a researcher. And then when I finished my PhD in 2011, I got about 8 appointments actually from all over the world, from University of Guelph, Canada, University of North Dakota, US, and then 6 universities in Nigeria. So I decided that having lived in Sweden, I won't be able to live anywhere again apart from Sweden, Nigeria, my home country. So I decided to go to Nigeria, to go to Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, even though I had appointments from other universities and then from National Biotechnology Development Agency in Abuja. I decided to go because it has always been on my mind that I would like to be a professor, actually. Even when I got offer in oil company, they pay so much. Even in Chevron, I said, no. Even when my friend said, don't worry, you need to come so that you can be compensated for your PhD you did abroad, come to, I said, no. I just want to be, I love to be in front of the students, to impart knowledge. I think I have passion for teaching and then passion for motivating people, young generation. So I decided to go there, and then I was actually the pioneer head of department of chemical engineering, Michael Okpara University of Agriculture. I started the department, even though there were nothing on ground, but I started. But thank God today it's gone fine. And then I decided to say, now I had enough in Nigeria. I need to move back abroad because I saw, let's say, the handwriting on the wall. So it was not okay for me again. So I decided to come. And then that's actually the major focus of this, I would say, the Zoom meeting or seminar workshop. So I had to apply abroad again, right from my position. So I was supposed to come for a sabbatical leave, but my vice chancellor said he will not grant me because he wanted me to stay with him until the end of his tenure, while I was itching to come because I have my family here in Sweden. So I needed to come and join them. Well, I did that. So basically, have been in the university, I would say, for a substantial part of my life. For over 20-something years, I've been in the university, but that is what I love to do. Is it to impart knowledge and then to do research so that I can give something back to the society also and the scientific community. So I love what I'm doing, and that's what I've been doing. And then I also have, in partnership with some friends and educational consultancy. Yeah, so we try to help also students, graduates to be able to reshaping their future and then their career progression, what they need to do, the combination of the courses and so on, so that at least they can build something for the future. Because it's not enough to just have a certificate and sit down and call yourself a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, an accountant. You need to do something. So that's me. So basically, I live in Sweden, and then I have 4 children, and I'm also a grandfather. I have 2 grandchildren, also 2 identical boys. Yeah, so that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor Adekunle. That was good. It's very interesting. I can see that on your profile. You mentioned that you are a partner as well for Scandinavia's Impact Recruitment Agency. Is that only focused on people who live in Sweden or the Nordic areas?
Actually, that company was registered in Nigeria before I left Nigeria some years back. So it's actually focused on Nigerian graduates or even secondary school leavers who want to study abroad, basically. Maybe you want to do bachelor abroad or masters abroad, and in some cases for PhD abroad. So we try as much as possible to help them to look at the courses that they can do abroad, and then we look at their cumulative grade point average to tell them if they need to go further or stop, or if they need to change, because there are some people who did bachelor and they didn't make good results in their undergraduate. Maybe they made a third class, for instance, and they want to do another thing. So if they need to apply for another course, it must be bachelor level also. Then they have a little bit advantage over those people that over the secondary school leavers or school starts leavers or students. So we always try to reshaping them because it's not really easy. You have so many courses to do, you have so many things on the internet, so many universities, so many programs, and it's possible for you to keep applying for 100, 200, and 300, and you won't have any concrete answer or genuine answers from them. So we try to help students, graduates particularly, to reshaping their way, particularly in their career for the future.
But I can just say in a nutshell, what Professor Adekunle has said is basically he also is a partner for Scandinavia's Impact Recruitment Agency. And the idea behind that organization is to help people reshape their career. And if you have interest in studying abroad, they usually offer you advice on the best course to take and the best sort of path, trajectory that you should take. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So for people who didn't hear that, I believe you, if anybody has any questions around that, please feel free to ask. And I think my first question, while I'm waiting for more questions to come in the chat, is I think I'll just go back to you, Professor Shonia. What informed your decision to go into academia? I know you mentioned obviously that you wanted to study French as a result of meeting with your excellent French teacher. But why did you stay all this while? Was it also because you had a drive to teach people? Or what was the reason for staying in academia, especially in French, for all these years? I know you branched out into politics later on, but what was the reason for?
Thank you very much. I think I'm kind of wired for academics, right from school. And I think that's an important thing, to kind of know what you are wired for. Because we have different penchants or whatever, talents, skills, abilities, and so on. And I think that right from childhood, I had been sort of like the bookworm type of person. I enjoyed schooling. I really, really did enjoy school. I loved school, and it wasn't a burden for me. I did very well also. in school. And I had the opportunity of attending a school, a secondary school, because I think secondary school, even primary school, are quite important in terms of the foundation that they give you, And I think I had that opportunity to have a broad-based, very solid, you know, uh, background, so that it wasn't only uh, that we were prepared for academics. We were given a broad base, in the arts. I remember my school, we used to have Festival of the Arts and so on. So I kind of liked all of that, but I did very well in academics. So it just seemed like it was a calling for me. And however, I also think that um, getting married to the person that I did get married to was also quite helpful and so on. He was he is even, I would say, a lot more intellectually driven than I am. So he kept uh, pushing me to, you know give my best to, uh, for instance, the part of what we're discussing here is this, how to work with international organizations and so on. I've never really worked with an international organization, but I have received grants and fellowships from various international organizations, and highly competitive ones, for that matter. The Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, which is a German organization, is one that I had received, and I became their first, what they call, ambassador scientist in Nigeria. Now, it was my husband that got the that fellowship first, and the moment he got it and had the experience, it was like, you got to go for this thing. You have to, and so on. So that meant, pushing you, making sure stayed on top of your game. You wrote your, articles, you did your research, and everything. So that's basically it for me. But what I'd just like to add is that, you know, somehow I'm not one of those types that have an idea of exactly where you are going and you are all focused and you're all I care about really is doing the best that I can. Whatever your hand finds to do, give it your best. And I think that's what has brought me to where I am today. I had no idea I was going to, I didn't make a definite choice apart from get a doctorate, which I negotiated with my mother. I didn't really think, okay, make a career of academics. I just kept going. As you apply yourself, and you really seek to excel in whatever you are doing, it tends to push you, along, and open doors for you. So that's what I'd like to say about that.